I called it. I was right on the money with the release date. I'm so glad to finally see the blog so I can start making plans for this launch. It's been just this thing that's been looming over me. Like, when is it coming? When do I need to put in my PTO so I can actually hit the ground running on this on release date? So this makes perfect sense. It wasn't really hard to deduce that, yes, this is the day it was coming out. Gridmaster runs until October 12th. Normally, at the end of a league or a temporary game like that, the week it ends, the update for the week, quote unquote, is, hey, the event is over and now you can buy the rewards and stuff like that. Unfortunately, in this case, they've already released the ability to buy the rewards this week already, just 1 week after it started. Not going to get into that whole thing, but so yeah, with it coming out on the 19th, that means I can put in a PTO request and take off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The week after that's Thanksgiving in America. So I just have a lot of PTO to burn this year, so I'll be taking that whole week off as well. The plan is to stream every day that I'm doing this. And let's see, it starts at 10 UTC, which, depending on when daylight savings time, I think that's like 5 in the morning for me. Um, we'll we'll try to get up that early that day, at least for the launch day, and experience the hype with everybody else. So yeah, finally we have a date. Finally we can start planning around that. Let's read through the blog here, and then I'll kind of go over what my plans are from now till then, and on release date, the first few days, like what do I plan to do and how do I plan to tackle this new skill. So sailing launches November 19th. After 3 years of design, discussion, and community collaboration, we're thrilled to announce that Sailing, the first new skill, is launching on November 19th. Please note the exact timing may move and will be explained further detail on our next sailing vlog. Oh, we're getting another sailing vlog. Okay. Basically, it's 10 o'clock unless there's problems, and then it gets pushed back. Usually with updates, I don't tend to wake up and be there on release in case there's some sort of server delay. But we'll see. I'll at least be getting up for normal work time for that, I think, which usually I'm at my computer by about 7:30. So I might miss the first hour or two. We'll see how confident I am in them actually getting this done. Sailing unlocks new content found at sea. Own and upgrade your very own boat as you hone your skills. You'll reach previously uncharted areas. It's a historic moment for the team and, of course, our wonderful community. From early concepts throughout refinement, playtesting of polls, this has been a skill shaped directly with you. Sort of. Let's talk about what you can expect from Sailing, what's still on the horizon, and how you can help to influence development in 2026 and beyond. So I know a lot of people are upset that this skill is coming to the game and are still in their denial and anger stages of grief. I've been in acceptance mode pretty much this whole year, I think. The way that I've shifted my thoughts on thinking about Sailing is, think of it more like an area expansion, like Varlamore. Maybe not as fleshed out as Varlamore, because Varlamore is very, very dense, and it came out in 3 different sections of a decent chunk of content with every single one. But Sailing is more of an area expansion more than just the skill. Like, it's coming with new resources, new ways to train, new Slayer mobs, new Slayer bosses, new quests. It's an area expansion that is coming with the skill. And once I started thinking of it that way, I started to come to terms with it. I'm not in the boat of whining about losing my max cape. I played this game hard and long and fast enough that I fully expect to be back with my max cape within like 2 to 3 weeks. This is a road bump in my longer term plans at worst, and if it turns out to be a good, enjoyable piece of content, then it's only up from there, right? Sailing's a massive update. We'll call it our project of projects. It's bigger and more expansive than any content that's come before. As a new skill, it touches almost every aspect of the game, giving you brand new ways to choose to play. Old School RuneScape has always been about player autonomy and decision making. Build your own adventure your way. Sailing is going to offer you new goals and fresh ways to progress without taking away what already makes your game so special. We want to reassure you that sailing won't change what you already love about Old School. It's here to enhance your experience, not replace it. We're confident that it will feel like a natural extension of Gielinor, something that could have existed right from the very beginning. And that was like the biggest concern, was making sure that it's not this own standalone minigame and that it's actually like integrated into the game in a meaningful way. Although we've shared lots of details about sailing throughout its development, there are still so many things to discover when it comes to the game. Throughout our public and NDA playtests, we've continued to iterate on what we can do to improve, and we can't wait for you all to jump in to try it for the first time. It has been one of the greatest privileges to work on a project like this, from early concepts to alpha and then beta. It's almost time. We'd like to extend a huge thanks to every single person who's been involved in playtesting your feedback, both publicly and behind the scenes. Your work has been invaluable. We're confident that we've created something special here, and it's our sincere hope that when the community tries sailing on launch day, players will feel like sailing has always belonged in Gielinor. Our community is the reason why our game is incredible, and it goes without saying that your feedback will continue to guide how we develop sailing, especially after launch. We've got some cool ideas in mind for what's to offer in 2026, and we want you to help shape next year and beyond. Before we dive into that, let's break down exactly what features you can expect to see when sailing launches on November 12th. If you've been reading the blogs and watching videos of sailing over the course of development, you might already be well versed in what's coming in sailing. You can skip over the next section here. So I am not one of those. I've actually been kind of just letting it fester on I chose the right word. Let it fester on the sidelines, and then I was waiting for them to make like one complete blog of, hey, now here's a summary of what's coming. This year especially, I've stopped reading update blogs and poll blogs until the poll goes live, until the update happens, because so many things change in development that most of the time it's not worth my time reading a blog. So I tend to not go over ground that's already been covered, and I wait for it to be like in a final release date. So yeah, let's what are we getting into? Shipbuilding and upgrades. With the required sailing level, you can up to 5 boats at any time. Upgrade your boat at the shipyard with stronger components and powerful facilities to aid you on your sailing journey. There are 3 sizes of boats available: the raft, small boat, and large boat. You can use construction to build facilities, or simply pay a shipwright who can build most of the basic facilities. So this makes me wonder, is this going to be, outfitting a limited outfits on your ships that you have to have multiple different boats, and then it's going to be like swapping your spell book. I'm going to do this content, so swap my boat for the one I need here and whatever. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Is there any reason not to just use large boats at all times? Do small boats have some sort of advantages? I'm assuming a raft is never going to be used again after you upgrade to like a small boat. I have a question on, how much construction training can you really get from doing these and upgrading your components? Is this going to be a new method of construction? That's things that I want to answer, and by just experimentation through the first a few weeks of dealing with the skill. Choose from 10 NPCs across Gielinor and ask them to join your crew. Remember, if your friends are online, they can also join too. You can have a maximum of 5 crewmates to join at any time, helping to manage your facilities and keep things smooth sailing. I'm curious to know how that's going to interact with what we're doing here. Ship combat. The sea is teeming with new creatures and aquatic wildlife, but unfortunately, most of them won't greet new faces very kindly. Better safe than sorry, we say. Why not build yourself a cannon facility on your boat? Ship combat has been designed to work very similar to how combat works on land, so don't expect raid level mechanics just yet. Thankfully, you'll be able to repair your boat using repair kits at Shipwright's workbench found near all shipwrights. Oh, so this is going to be something that we have to manage. I'm just hoping that going forward. So one, and maybe they answer this in here, but I've had this long-standing question of what happens if you leave your ship at an island? Does your crew bring the ship back to the port that you're going to be at, and then you sail away from whatever port you have happen to be at? Does your ship just stay where it is and you teleport to your ship? Like, how does that work? And then the other thing is, if we have to manually repair our kits over time, this is going to be like a very tedious and annoying process to keep up with, because it's not like, well, in the main game you eat food, right? And as you level up, you use like a health pool in your house, or like the Narda statue to repair your, or to replenish your stats and stuff. We hopefully someday we have some way to do that with our ship, so that we're not just constantly making repair kits and I need to repair my ship, and it's just an annoying process to do over and over again. Sailing gameplay. Just like clicking rocks to mine ores or logs to burn a fire, the core gameplay for sailing is nice and simple. Earn sailing experience by successfully interacting with facilities in your boat. The simple example of this is trimming your sails. You get a burst of XP and a little speed boost. It would be rather sad if that was how you expected to train sailing all the way to 99, so we've developed 4 sailing training methods, as well as a hybrid sailing fishing training as well as, so that means 5 then, right? So here's what's coming. So you get token experience by trimming your sails as you're sailing around. So that's great. Port tasks. Use your boat as a service to NPCs around Gielinor who need your help. You'll unlock access to port notice boards and docks. Once you hit the respective sailing level, you can choose to help the NPC deliver cargo from A to B, courier tasks, or take down a threat at sea and deliver the proof to an NPC, bounty tasks. Strip to 5 port tasks at any one time with the required sailing level. We recommend taking and completing them from alongside other activities on your sailing journey. So this kind of reminds me of New World. You come back to town, you grab your tasks, you go out to whatever you were doing, to whatever like event is going on, and then along your way you knock out your tasks until you come back to the port. So that sounds like what's going to be involved there. Shipwreck salvaging. Turn others' misfortune into your own benefit. There are many sunken ships out there that still contain valuables. It doesn't feel like old school RuneScape without at least one activity you can do with a streaming service on your third monitor, right? So to get your AFK gains in, we've developed relaxing training called shipwreck salvaging. Simply make sure your boat is equipped with a salvaging hook, then head to the shipwreck salvage point to gather salvage, which you can store on your boat's cargo hold. You can take your salvage back to port to sort them into useful means. So this is like the gathering type skill or method of training. And depending on how AFK it is, this might be my go-to mobile training method. We'll have to see over time like how good this is for XP as well as like pet chances and stuff. Sea charting. Using your captain's log, you can document and chart and study areas of the sea that have been previously undiscovered. Spot something cool at sea, go and chart it. Explore Gielinor like you've never seen before and interact with the world in a completely new way. This type of activity earns you one-time chunks of XP. When you complete an area, you'll receive an additional chunk of XP and specific rewards, including some interesting sailing upgrades. So this idea of exploring for XP has been around for a long time. It was one of the key features of WoW. They had achievements built around exploring the whole area, and then every time you encountered a new zone or a new area, you get a chunk of XP. It would tell you what area you're in, and then part of the map would like fill in, and you would unlock that area essentially. But other games certainly do this as well. I would be curious to see maybe like the land masses get a similar thing. I don't know what kind of experience you'd award for doing that on the land side, but on the sailing side it makes sense. What do you mean by interesting sailing upgrades though? Barracuda trials. The Barracudas are a ragtag crew of seafaring adventurers united by their love of the open ocean, fiercely competitive and always up for a challenge. They've turned their passion into sport, testing their skills against one another in thrilling sea-based time trials to see who truly rules the waves. At launch, sailing will feature 3 Barracuda trials: the Temper Tantrum, Jubbly Jive, and Gwent Glide. Each trial offers you the chance to prove your mettle, rise through the ranks, and earn the respect of the Barracuda themselves. Conquer the challenges, and you could bag yourself a nice chunk of a sailing experience and some very snazzy rewards indeed. Please note that the Barracuda trials are intended to award high amounts of sailing experience, provided you can play them mechanically well. So this is probably going to be my main method of training, because my goal with sailing right now is I want to get my max get back as soon as possible, and if this awards the best experience, that's what I'm going to do. I've seen like little bits and pieces of this in the streams, like very, very early on, that this is going to be like Sepulcher, but with boats, from my understanding. And it awards a high amount of experience, and some very snazzy rewards. We'll see what that actually entails. But the main point is this is probably your highest level experience, or highest experience rates that you can get. Deep sea trawling. When you sail out to far sea, you'll find that fish you cannot usually find near the shores. Building a trawling net facility in your boat allows you to access these fish. You can earn a mix of sailing and fishing experience. You can look forward to plenty of new and exotic fish on launch, which can then be transformed into powerful foods or herbal ingredients. I'm not as excited about this. I'm okay with the new methods of harpoon fishing and some of this other like stationary type fishing thing. I don't like hybrid skills, so I don't like aerial fishing. I don't like the drift net fishing. I would much rather focus on training fishing directly and not mix it in with another skill, because usually what it means is it's not going to be the best way to train sailing or the best way to train fishing. It might be slightly better than training both of those specifically, and the only reason I think I'll be doing this is for the specific herbal ingredients, and maybe stockpiling a little bit of the special food if those special foods come from this specific thing. So I probably won't be doing this except in very limited amounts. So is that the 4 then? Port tasks. Because you said there was 4 sailing trade methods as well as a hybrid. So the hybrid is the 5th one, like I said. So does this count as 1, trimming the sails? Port tasks, salvaging, sea charting, barracuda drives. Oh, that is 4. Okay, never mind. It's just this sea charting thing is like a one-time only thing, and so like even post 99, this will not be a viable training method, obviously, because you'll have already unlocked it. But so really, there's 3 main ways to train it and a hybrid one. This one is just like a introduction to sailing type way. Quests. Sailing launches with brand new quests. If you took part of the Sailing Alpha or Beta, you may already be familiar with the Pandemonium, an introductory quest for sailing. This is designed to teach you the ropes, no pun intended. Our most anticipated sailing quest, the Troubled Tortugans, introduce a new race called the Tortugans. The Tortugans are under threat by the Griffins, and they need your help. This is where the new Slayer Griffin boss is going to come from. You'll meet them when you sail over to the Great Conch. A follow-up quest, the Red Reef, is planned to launch sometime next year. Okay. New areas. We're not going to reveal much about the new islands you'll discover, since we want to preserve from the magic on launch. But to give you an idea of the scale, there are 30 new islands being added with the launch of sailing, some of which come with new dungeons. And it's all coming at once, with room to expand later. They had literally the entire ocean. The team has put a huge amount of work into environmental storytelling, and we can't wait for you all to jump in. Who will be the first to discover these mysterious places? This is like community type stuff. I probably won't be focused on that, and I'll just kind of learn about that through other sources. Again, my main focus is just to get Max Cape back. But 30 new islands, very expansive area. So again, it's very much like an area expansion on the order of Varlamore rather than just a new skill. Perhaps the most exciting of all is the many, many new resources added to sailing. Bank space will be increased. I'm really looking forward to that. I would like to see that in before sailing comes out. There's no reason it can't be. You'll be able to gather new items like logs, oars, rocks, fish, fabric, and more. Check out the skilling and resources blog for more details. All of them will be available with the launch of sailing, except for the incendiary and chain shot cannibals, both planned later. So on the increasing your bank space because we're getting all this new resources, this is why I'm working on how to fix Mastery Mixology and fix the potion storage, with the added benefit of Seed Vault expansion later, to try and free up some of that bank space as well. And now that I know when sailing's coming out, I'm really going to try to get that video done sooner rather than later, so that I also have time to finish the next milestone video before that comes out. Well, more on that later. New training methods. When you unlock new islands, you might stumble upon an awesome new way of training another skill. We've designed these new training methods to fill current gaps in progression. all the trainings methods. So this is like the new stationary harpooning, the new the box trap type things for hunter and those sorts of things. Crab hunting, lantern fishing, blowpipe fletching, yep, and pirate thieving, yep. Unique items. Your boat opens the door to countless quality of life improvements both on and off the water. If you built the right facilities, you can upgrade and customize up to 5 boats, each tailored to your playstyle, and add unique cosmetics to show off your achievement. So in other words, tailored to your playstyle, whatever the meta is. That's what that translates to. Unlock new dock teleport locations. Use the teleport me to boat spell. Or simply set sail directly to your destination. We completely acknowledge that many players will continue to prefer using traditional teleports for fast travel. That's okay. Sailing or the direct via teleports unlocked via the skill can offer an ideal option for certain situations. If not, it still offers plenty of rewards. So this is what I'm not understanding. So unlock new dock teleport locations using the teleport me to boat spell. So can you leave your boat somewhere and teleport to that, or are the teleports limited to wherever the docks are and then your boat just happens to be there? What does that mean? Or simply set sail directly to your destination. I mean, that's how this is how you should get to a new location the first time. That's traditionally what happens in MMOs like that. And then once you arrive there, then you unlock the ability to teleport there, or at least teleport to the dock. I'm really curious how this is going to function. The Gleaming Rapier, now called Bell's Folly. That's not confusing at all. A brand new 5-tick powerful stab weapon, providing an alternate to the Zami Hasa without completely eclipsing it. Yeah, I don't know where that's going to be used, to be honest, other than like pure builds or skipping God Wars for early TOA. The Horn of Plenty is another powerful account upgrade, allowing you to gather resources at an improved rate and providing a boost to your hunter level. You should really specify that this is to gather hunting resources. This is a hunter item, not just resources in general. And then more rewards that we just voted on. What could 2026 sailing updates look like? It's set to be a very exciting year. We're not going to reveal details in this blog since we typically do so via the winter or summer summit. We never got a summer summit, by the way. So I don't know about that. However, we get lots of questions and suggestions about how sailing will expand after launch, so we'd like to share a quick preview of our current thoughts. Again, this is TBD, not actually committing to this. This is just like throwing shit at a wall, hope it sticks. What do you guys want to see, sort of thing. All this may change. You may have different. You may all have different wishes once you get the grips of sailing. After all, so please don't see this as being set in stone. Exactly. So a sequel to the Tortugan quest, a new type of port task. The Red Reef is the second quest, planned to be added to sailing early 2026. We've also got ideas for a third and final quest, part of the series. However, plans around this are much more vague due to the quest being further away from release. Yeah, and we don't know what this quest is really going to be involved with, or what all that entails. But it's nice to see new quest chains, new quest lines. 2026 small scale boss at sea, which we kind of figured. Player designed island, not sure about that one. As sailing is such a community-driven project, we initially planned for a player-designed island to be part of the launch package. However, we got further into the project, we realized that players need to have a good idea what sailing is and several existing island reference points to be able to design something within our specifications. The player-designed island competition should kick off shortly after launch. When you've all had a chance to get your hands on the content, this will allow you to explore the area and see what already exists before adding your own ideas. Cannot wait to see what ideas you come up with. Okay, so just a community thing. New Barracuda trial, probably for a high level. This sort of thing is why I'm not really going to be pushing for 200 mil sailing at launch, because all of next year, let's say like just how this is separated, basically once a quarter we're going to get a sailing update, and quests will give sailing experience. New type of port task presumably is going to give some sort of boosted sailing experience compared to the other ones. A new Barracuda trial, which again is probably going to be higher level towards the upper end. I think the current ones are like early mid and like maybe slightly past mid, because people are going to take a while to get to 99, right? So it makes sense for this to be a higher level one, which means more experience per hour, more challenging, probably better rewards. Another quest, Seagull quest, existing storyline. I don't know if that Does that mean the Tortugan quest or just something else? And then a sea expansion in late 2026. The updates we suggested for early would be relatively quick for us to implement. They're probably already working on it, to be honest, which is why we could offer them soon after the skill's launch. Anything else like Player Design Island would take a while because you have to adapt to whatever is decided, yeah. A new type of port task would be very, very welcomed after a very welcomed variety right after Christmas. Yeah, okay, but you didn't really go into what this was. This is kind of weird. Put that there. But yeah, this skill is only going to get more stuff to do, more varied ways to train it, and ideally better and faster ways to train it. Maybe even getting a sailing minigame at some point. Although I guess you could argue the Barracuda trials might already be in that. But that's why I'm only really focused on getting 99 Slayer, and then we'll worry about training it past 99 to 200 mil later. The only exception to that would be if these Barracuda trials offer like ridiculous rewards, and I'm talking Hunter Rumor level rewards, where it gives you so much viable skilling the viable skilling resources for other skills that I would be crazy not to do sailing first to gather those resources for those other 200 mils. Barring that, if it's just Barracuda trials for some minor GP type rewards and it's just training sailing for sailing training's sake, I don't see a reason to train sailing past 99 at this point. It'll happen eventually, just not in the near term future. What could further sailing updates include? Now we covered generally what's included and basically your plans for 2026. Here's what else we could do if you guys really want. Some features might have been cut, moved, or simply not selected for initial sailing launch for specific reasons. Some are too large for scope and other require further design discussions or community feedback. Ship PvP, yeah, allowing people to making a wilderness area of PvP for ships is not a winning proposition. If it's a mini game that like some sort of Armada versus Armada type thing, that might make sense. But if it's anything to do with setting you back some gear and resources and your ship is destroyed and you have to build it from scratch, that is not going to fly. Nobody's going to want that. This was a feature mentioned in pre-production of the skill. It isn't something that we ever planned for launch. Yeah, exactly. Considering it would be such a huge undertaking. The technical work to make it viable someday has been done, and we're confident that it could be happening from a technical perspective. Yeah, I foresee we could do something like this one day, maybe not next year, maybe the year after. But again, it would have to be limited in scope to like a mini game and not like a wilderness sort of thing, a high risk, high reward type area. Colossal boats are a massive party-sized boat initially planned. Unfortunately, due to the sheer size, they were too large for fluid navigation. We don't see a clear gameplay use for it other than being social friendly. We love this aspect and we want to focus on the core of the skill before expanding into extra content. That's fair. That's not to say we can't introduce them in the future, perhaps even without changing the movement system. Yeah, you just need to make it like a cruise ship. It takes forever to turn. It just means they take a smaller role in gameplay. Focus more on the nice to have. Like, this would not be something that you do for training skills. This would be just like your, as I said, a party boat. Just having friends on for fun. We're happy with the current size of boats, and we'd like to allow players to get used to the navigation before adding anything larger. And, maybe you get a colossal boat for the Ship Armada type PvP game. Actual like big battleships versus each other. Hybrid training methods. Again, I'm not really a big fan of hybrid stuff. Sea monster hunting, sailing and slayer, and mineral dredging, sailing and mining were hybrid training methods discussed during the pre-production phase of sailing. When it came to creating the core sailing feature set, we decided to pick one hybrid training method, deep sea trawling. That's the one that makes the most sense, is the most obvious. And fleshed it out completely to ensure it met our standards. There was another hybrid training method, coral farming, mentioned in the pre-production, which was sailing and farming. Since then, we've changed it to be farming only activity, which will be part of the sailing launch. Yeah, this is like another underwater area that you can farm coral, kind of like you could seaweed, from my understanding. Mineral dredging, I'm fine with. This sea monster hunting thing, you could just, this hybrid method, if you just tie it into the port missions, whatever they were called, and the ones where you have to go kill a monster or something. That's like getting a Slayer task. Hey, I went out and killed a monster with my boat. You get a little token Slayer experience for that. That's really all you would need to do. You don't need to have any extra systems on top of that. Just award those port tasks with Slayer experience. So that one I think would be pretty easy to implement. This mineral dredging thing, this one probably would take some more work. I'd be curious to see what comes from that. Who knows? Maybe we do a mining sailing hybrid to 200 mil. That'd be interesting to see. Further quests. Throughout development, we've had many requests from players to continue popular and iconic pirate and penguin storylines. They could have a very close ties into sailing, and we love the idea. In fact, ModEd has already started plans on where those stories could be taken. However, we didn't want to go overboard on quests at this stage. It's important to focus on the skill itself. Very wise. Additionally, we want feedback from players on what you want us to prioritize this next year. Yes, I mean, for me, these storylines are not like on the A tier, but like B tier type storylines. They should get resolved. I would like to see where they end up. I would also like to see them go retroactive with sailing and integrate them into quests that we already have in some way. Now, most of us, we've already done those quests, we're already past that thing, but it would be nice to see something like Bon Voyage. Hey, if you have sailing, when you take this quest, you can be the navigator, you can take a hold of the ship and then go a different route rather than the clunky interface mess that everybody was afraid that sailing was going to be, that sort of thing. Dragon Slayer, hey, I have my own boat. I don't need to buy one from you. That's going to be really weird. Being able to train sailing, have a boat, and then now you have to go buy a crappy boat that you have to repair for Dragon Slayer. You see how that kind of just gets confusing? You need to integrate sailing into some of the previous quests. TLDR. Sailing Guild. We mentioned the Sailing Guild concept early in our pre-production phase for sailing. However, we've since determined that a guild is not needed for launch. Especially since there are guilds that we don't have yet for some of the skills. Once a player gets their hands on the skills, we'll have likely more of an idea of what such a place would unlock. There's no set plans for Sailing Guild, but our early conversations have the team leading towards making a Barracuda headquarters, where you'll meet the leader of the Barracudas, an NPC called Mako. Yeah, and that could be also the place where you introduce that final Barracuda trial, only available when you have access to the guild. They haven't said what the Sailing Cape is going to do. I just realized that. At least not in this blog. NPC ships have been added to Sailing. However, in the future, we'd like to make them have interactions with their ship. Example, to be a plunderable or vice versa. I mean, I guess it makes sense. If you're going through the world and there's a wolf that tries to attack you, it'll have a leash range, so it won't pursue you, but it might attack you when you're in the area. No set plans for this have been made yet, as it will depend on the feedback after launch. And you could even make like a port task of going to deal with a pirate ship in an area, sort of thing. So this could see some light. How we'll gather feedback. We've been looking at how player feedback to help shape sailing even after this launch. Recently, we've published a list of polling improvements, including ranking, choice voting, and the ability to use free text and more. Around a week before sailing launches, we'll be sunsetting our dedicated sailing server and asking players... Wait, what? We'll be sunsetting our dedicated sailing server and asking players to send feedback via our official OSRS Discord. We'd like to thank everyone within the sailing Discord server for their continued support. I didn't realize... Must be like a closed server thing. When sailing launches, we're firstly going to focus on bugs, issues, and quality of life changes that we can add to the roadmap. Afterwards, we'll start looking at larger features. Again, it makes sense. Like that's what you should do. Don't start making new content before you fix the old stuff. We'll update you about changes during our Summit Reveal List live streams. You didn't have a Summer Summit! God damn it. Madalena, senior game designer. Yeah, Madalena, Mod Husky, those are, I don't know who Mod Abe is, but these are the two main devs. And when it was announced that Madalena and Mod Husky were the ones that are leading this dev team, my reservations about sailing kind of diminished, and that's where my 5 stages of grief with sailing comes to the game just went away, because with them at the helm, no matter what content they come up with, I know it's going to be a good sailing loop. I know it's going to be a good skilling loop. I know it's going to be good content and enjoyable to work with and to play with. At that point, it didn't matter, that sailing was coming to the game. I was confident that it was going to be good. Up until that point, between when the poll was passed and the announcement of that, who was working on this would have lived. How do I explain this? I was very concerned with who was going to front this project, because there are some devs that are not as open to feedback, that don't really know skilling all that well, think they do, and then kind of create shit and don't ever fix it. I'm not going to get into that now, but I was very concerned that if the wrong team was in charge of this, sailing was just not going to come to fruition, I think. And I'm very glad that Elena and Husky were the ones running this. Mod Abe and Nod Nin are new to me. Mod Curse, QA. We should probably read them because they have some good launch tips, I think. Launch tips. This is what I'm focused on. As tempting as it is to get into sailing as possible, don't spacebar the introductory quest. Yeah. Pandemonium teaches you the basics of skilling and contains lots of useful information that you don't want to miss, so pay attention. Other than that, keep an eye on the skill guide, level up messages to see what new unlocks you get. These are super important, similar to upgrading your gear. They change anything from resistances, allowing you to see new areas, defenses, letting you take more damage. Be up to date with the quests. Corsair Curse, Song of the Elves, and Children of the Sun can provide access to specific ports. Dragon Slayer can help you get a new crewmate. There's bound to be more. There are just a few that will help. Expect to do a lot more than just sailing. Upgrading your boat is key, but to do that, you'll need new resources. Grab an axe and get to chopping some trees. Yep. We'll get to that in a second. Launch tips. It's really important to read the quest. Pay attention. I know launch day, many people are rushing a train as high as they can, as fast as possible. I really do miss skilling grinds and the feeling of leveling up. Yeah, Husky. There's so much to be enjoyed just beyond one sitting. So basically, don't burn out, okay? Don't think you're off the hook with not needing GP either. Oh, don't worry, we're set on that. You may not be buying from other players, but if you haven't trained your construction, I get moving with that. And make sure you've got money to convert the new planks. Yeah, the new planks are like 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 times more expensive than mahogany. And they don't offer a whole lot of extra experience above that. They're really expensive, but I think we're good on that front. I'd also like to perhaps take a look at forestry rewards like the Sawmill Voucher and Ritual Mulch, so that you can gather more logs and you can get more planks faster. Both of these can help you get more mileage out of your time spent woodcutting, farming, to plant the new hardwood trees, and crafting to make the fabrics are also beneficial. Yep, so we got that. You can trim your sails to go faster. You get the opportunity every 30 seconds. This sounds really obvious, but the amount of streamers and content creators I want to are just staring at their screens. Yeah, it's an optional thing. You don't have to do that. Get yourself out of the sea and familiarize yourself with how the boat moves. If you compare this with a bit of charting, port tasks are both. So try to overlap port tasks and charting at the same time to get as much experience as you can. Cool. There's a lot of hidden islands with mooring points that have plenty of small details and hidden features, so I encourage players to spend a little time. Yep. Bring your cargo. It won't deliver itself. As the resident Ultimate Ironman, I must warn my bankless brothers that building a better boat is a bit hard on the old inventory. Perfectly doable, but might want to warrant a death bank or death pile. Oh god. Have fun, Ultimates. After you have a problem with that, you can always downgrade. You can reverse your boat to get yourself out of almost any situation via the side panel. As long as you know this, you shouldn't be able to get stuck in here. So you can go backwards. Good to know. Launch tips. If you're a main, enjoy the ride. Ironman, get to working on those boat construction supplies when you can. Ultimates. Get a bank. Yes, exactly. Prepare some general construction supplies, hardcores. Yeah, so that's, because the early supplies are like teak and mahogany, and I got that in spades, so it'd be good to go there. Cool. Yeah, so let's talk briefly about from now till then, and then kind of what my plan is on sailing launch. This is already getting to be a really long video, so I apologize for that. So from now till then, the plan for me is to get through one more milestone. So I want to get to the 180 mil Slayer, and then push it as hard as I can until sailing comes out. Now, whatever's left over after sailing is fine because the new Slayer mob, the Griffin, as well as the Alquanites, I will need to try and get those pets and those items before we finish 200 mil Slayer, and I'm hoping that the 15 to 20 mil left that I should have when sailing comes out is enough to get all that stuff. It'll be really unfortunate if that doesn't happen, but I will be burning a crap ton of points just to do nothing but Griffin for like a week or two after sailing. So I don't foresee it being a problem, but every time I say that, I tend to go 3 to 4 times the drop rate. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and we can get that Griffin boss pretty quickly. So I'm going to be working on Slayer as much as I can till then. I am in the middle of editing the Mastering Mixology video, how to fix it. I want to get that out before end of next weekend, I think. I'm busy this weekend, but I'm gonna dedicate more time to it in the next week so I can wrap it up on the weekend and get it out like the week before. So this would be like early November, like first week of November, I think. Sometime around then, I should be hitting the next milestone, so then I'll shift my focus to getting that one out the week after that. And then like the week after that, I think is sailing. And then we'll be hitting that hard. Aside from pushing the next Slayer milestone and the couple of videos that I wanted to work on till then, other ways that I'm preparing for sailing is making sure I have money, I have planks, I have bars, and I don't think herbs are really a thing, but having those resources on hand. Pretty much ever since sailing was announced to be coming out this year, I've been just stockpiling that stuff and not really using them up because I wasn't sure what we would need for sailing. And it's looking like the planks up to mahogany that we can already have on hand, having enough GP on hand to make the new planks, as well as making sure I'm topped off on shards for the like crystal axes, to be able to chop that stuff, and just having all of those resources on hand so that we can upgrade our ships as needed and make sure that they're nice and ready to go. The other thing that I'm doing, and I don't know if this is a good strategy, but I'm just kind of preparing for it in case it is a good strategy, is I've been stockpiling nests with seeds from like birdhouses or mole or wherever you get nests with seeds, Kingdom, so that when sailing comes out, I can open those seed nests and hopefully luck into one or many of the new hardwood seeds so that I can plant those in like Fossil Island so that I can more easily cut and bank them there, assuming that there's not an island that's close to a bank or something like that in the world to harvest those there, just as a way to mitigate that chance or that opportunity. And if in the case that out in the world is not really efficient, I can start a hardwood growing on Fossil Island ready to go day one instantly. And just getting that going. Again, I don't know if it's going to work, but it doesn't hurt to have that on hand and stockpile. Worst case, I just have some nests for Herblore later. So yeah, might be worth doing some birdhouse runs till then. So sailing, what am I going to be doing for sailing? I've put in PTO requests for the starting on that Wednesday all through the week, and then the full week of Thanksgiving. So I'll have, 10 days, 11 days of time off. I plan to stream every day that I'm at my computer and playing throughout the day. It just if I'm playing the game, I'll be live. So prepare for that. If you guys want to hang out and pop in, great. You're welcome in. We're all going to be figuring it out together, so don't be afraid to give some feedback or come with an open mind. Sailing itself, we're going to start with the quests that we can do and just try to really immerse myself in this and take it in stride and not be so dead set on high experience and getting it done as fast as possible, at least for the first couple days. I really want to enjoy it. I want to do some exploring. You only get to do this stuff the first time once, and so I really want to enjoy the new skill, enjoy the new areas and that stuff. So we're gonna take it kind of gradual and slow on the first day or two. But the main focus is going to be getting the quests done so that the unlocks are there. Expanding the crew, expanding the ships, outfitting the ships as we go. One of the main things I want to figure out the first day, if I can, is what method I want to do on mobile. Given that the shipwrecks are like the most AFK thing, that is probably going to be it. But I will be trying all the skilling methods, except for the trawling fishing, probably. And just seeing what works best for me, what I like to do the most. Obviously, the first day we're going to be doing a lot of the exploration type stuff to get all of that free experience, that free one-time experience. That I think is probably what's intended to catapult you into the mid-game Slayer. I have Slayer on mind too much. The mid-game sailing is just to do all that exploring and stuff, as well as some of the early game training. So again, first day, explore, do quests, test out the methods, see what I like, and then day 2, 3, 4, we'll refine it from there. And yeah, well, we'll try to push it as hard as we can after that, and hopefully by the end of November, hopefully by the time my PTO is done, we're 99 again. It really just depends on what XP rates are. I don't know if they mentioned it in a different blog. I thought I saw that like Barracuda trials on the upper end were going to be like 100k or something. And if that's the case, 99 from 0, if you're getting 100k the whole time, is about 130 hours. So yeah, we should be able to hit that by the time my PTO's up. But if not, we'll keep hitting it hard as much as we can. And yeah, hopefully get 99. We'll try to take some clips. We'll try to put a video together, just kind of explaining what the methods are, what I think is probably the best way to train after the fact. Once I get my teeth in, sink my teeth into sailing, and yeah, we'll get 99, and then after that it'll be back to Slayer, back to focusing on the stuff that came from sailing specifically for Slayer, and pushing through to the next couple milestones, and hopefully probably not going to finish that this year, given that sailing's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. It'll be into next year, but yeah, wow, that's good news. Finally, we finally have a date, and we can formalize our plans finally. So anyway, that's all I got for this one. Thank you to the members for your support. Thank you to the subs on Twitch. We started streaming on Twitch. I forgot to mention that. We'll be streaming on both Twitch and on YouTube, where we dual stream from that. You're welcome to pop in and join us. Yeah, we'll see you then.